Namaskaram. Today's video is dedicated to someone very special.
There is substantial studies in the world to clearly show if 30% of our diet becomes fruit, 40% of the healthcare bills in the world will come down.
Before binging on mango or papaya, I always soak them in turmeric water for a bit. That's because these fruits have a lot of heat in them. And according to Ayurveda, soaking these fruits removes that heat before you eat it. Otherwise, if you have too much heat in the body, you end up getting skin problems, stomach problems. It's just no fun. I was introduced to the greatness of the mango by my grandfather one summer at the kitchen table. He was an Air Force official, so he always had an air of authority and precision about him. With great pride and the honorable juice of a mango on his lips, he raised his eyebrows and declared, "Mango is the king of fruits." For my 7-year-old mind, that was a huge title. Being the questioning child that I was, I asked, "So who is his queen?" He started laughing hilariously with his shoulders bouncing. And in Kerala, there are so many recipes to eat it raw, cooked, pickled, fried. The reason why fruits have such a key role in the traditional Indian diet goes far deeper than most of us realize.
As far back as Megasthenes when he came and Yuan Sen when he came and Kautilya when he wrote his treatise, all three of them have mentioned how in the Indian diet there is an unusually large segment of fruit. It seems, Yuan Sen somewhere says, I have not read it myself, it seems he says that Indian people are unusually intelligent mainly because of their fruit consumption. Their intellect is sharp because of that. And whether he said it or not, I am saying it is 100% true.
I came across an ancient medical text written over 3,000 years ago, which describes the unique qualities of hundreds of fruits and vegetables. And isn't it like mango is a good source of vitamin D? This goes into the detail of the body type that different people carry, and based on that, the kind of fruit that they should eat. Because they had so specifically identified the consequences of consuming these different fruits, it was very natural in the Indian diet to include different types of fruits and vegetables depending on the kind of body that they have.
This much we know, suppose your friend is sick and in a hospital, you go there with what? Biryani, meen kolambu, fruit. So you know, it definitely works. So you have to get sick to eat the right thing. But if you eat the right thing, maybe you will not get sick. There is substantial studies in the world to clearly show if 30% of our diet becomes fruit, 40% of the healthcare bills in the world will come down.
ഇന്ന് ഞാൻ കണ്ണൂർ സ്പെഷ്യൽ കാണിക്കാൻ പോണത് introducing Manga Perukku. Something so warm about a freshly washed cutting board. Straight from my mother's hometown in Kannur, this recipe has been passed down to me from my grandmother's sister through my cousin. All around the world, it's these dear grandmothers who represent the best of all traditional dishes. We'd better learn a thing or two from them before it's all forgotten. Traditional diets tend to be more medicinal, low calorie, and they seem to be more aware of how to use ingredients for maximum nutrition, worlds apart from the processed foods we eat every day. This dish is more like a chutney, uncooked, mashed mango mixed with a paste of coconut and chili. Let's just say it takes a lot of willpower not to eat all this mango before the dish is ready. കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ച ഞാൻ മാങ്ങ പുളിശ്ശേരി ഉണ്ടാക്കി. And a lot of people are asking for the recipe. So basically, you just lightly cook mangoes, add in a dash of turmeric and salt, and separately beat some yogurt with grated coconut, chili powder, and cumin. Add this along with a little bit of tadka or oil seasoning, and that's it. See? Even beginner cooks like me can do it.
In India, right now fruit consumption is at 4%. And that too, this 4% is calculated as per capita, but it's only in the elite segment that people are eating fruit. Down below, once a month also he is not eating a single fruit. Children, through the mango season, they go without eating a single mango because it's no more available. You have to go and buy it, it costs 25 rupees. A child will never get to eat it.
And actually, the UN has announced that over half of all the fruits and vegetables produced globally are wasted each year, largely because of problems with the global supply chain. India produces 40 to 50% of the world's supply of mango, but here in the US, I usually have access to mangoes from either Peru or Brazil. This one's from Mexico. Supply chain problems. So this is Mambaram in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu, but we also say Manga. Now Mambaram has the syllable ZH. This syllable can be pretty difficult for newbies as well as for some native speakers because the tongue has to go backwards into the mouth. See, I realized the main reason why a lot of us English speakers find it overwhelming to learn an Indian language is because English, right now I can feel the tongue is just at the front of the mouth. But in Indian languages, the tongue is required to go back into the mouth and perform a variety of different functions which we're not used to. So I have started again going back to the alphabet, starting preschool videos to get my pronunciation exact.
Ra. Berambal, Mara, Pura.
Mambaram requires the tongue to go to the very back of the mouth. Mambaram. I think that's right. Mambaram or Korikod or Varaparam. We ate Mambaram and Varaparam in Korikod. So my little advice if you're starting to learn Malayalam or any language is to first start with the alphabet, the basic sounds. It's taking some practice to get that th, da, dha, na, nya, the different variations of na. So the Malayalam alphabet is largely taken from the Sanskrit alphabet. So as random as they may sound at first, each sound is related to a specific part of the human system. As you go through the alphabet, the sounds start at the tip of the tongue and then go towards the back of the throat.
Actually, the consonants of the alphabets are bija mantras, which are related to the subtle energy body. These sounds are the basis of certain Eastern holistic and healing processes like marma.
And that is the Sanskrit effect. Just saying the alphabet can energize you. In yoga also, we use the tongue in a similar way to raise our energy levels.
I suppose this relation between Sanskrit and yoga is more than expected because the very architects of Sanskrit language were yogis of the highest order. And slowly, Malayalam reveals that though her sounds have hardly played upon my tongue, the roots from where she comes from have been a part of my life all along. While my Malayalam journey is hardly beginning, I already feel like I'm meeting an old friend. And might I add, she cooks damn well too.
Not bad! Until next time, പിന്നെ കാണാം. ഇന്ന് ഞാൻ കണ്ണൂരിന്റെ പ്രസാദ വിഭാഗം കാണിക്കാൻ പോണത്.
Before you go, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give the bell a ring too.